Okay, so the dissected heart, okay? Be able to identify the anterior surface, and the way that you know this is the anterior surface, you've got this swirl, which is the interventricular sulcus. If you happen to open it up, you can see that it travels with the actual interventricular septum. Okay, so this is the anterior surface. This is the posterior surface. Again, you've got the apex, you've got the base of the heart. Outside, you should be able to identify the auricles. This would be, the atrium. So this would be the right atrium with the little wing-like structure being the auricles. On this side, you have the left atrium, and again, you have the wing-like structures. The very first blood vessel that you see here, this is the pulmonary trunk that will eventually branch, but you don't see the branches here for the pulmonary arteries. This next tuft-like vessel that you see here, that's the aorta. The vena cavas that dump into the atrium, this looks like it is your superior vena cava, and you can see that it is much thinner than the aorta coming out of the heart. Okay, you can see where all this fat circles between the atrium and the ventricles. That would be your coronary sulcus, and your main coronary arteries travel beneath all that fat. If we open up the heart, okay, you can right away see that the larger chamber, that is your left ventricle, this being your right ventricle. If you find the valves that separate the ventricles from the atrium, then you can find the atrium. So here are your valves, and you know that you're looking at the valves because you can see the cord of tendonae. Okay. So the cord of tendonae is attached to the valves. So being that this is your left side of the heart, this is your bicuspid or the mitral valve. On the right side of the heart, here are your cord of tendonae. Here are your valves, making this the tricuspid. You can see the ridges in the ventricles. Those are your trabeculae carnae. Up in the atrium, let me see, I think you can see it. Oh yeah, up in the atrium, you can see the ridges right up here. That is the pectinate muscles, okay, that are only found in the atrium. The cord of tendonae attached to these little puckering muscles, that is your papillary muscles. Between the two ventricles, you have this meaty structure that is the interventricular septum that separates the two ventricles. You need to be able to identify the three layers of the heart. The outer thinner layer, that is the epicardium. The inner thinner layer that lines the inside of the chambers, that is the endocardium. And then the thick muscular layer, which is the thickest of the three, that is your myocardium. You can tell the difference between the semilunar valves from the atrioventricular valves, in that the semilunar valves do not have the cord of tendonae. So this is your semilunar valve, and since it is coming from the left ventricle, this would be your aortic semilunar valve. Okay. It's really difficult to see the pulmonary semilunar valve simply because it is way up there in the chamber, but if you poke through the pulmonary trunk, you can see that it actually comes out right there in the right ventricle. Okay. Let's see what else you need to identify on here. I believe that is it.